What the fuck is human development? For a long time, we've told ourselves a story that development is surrounded by an increase of wealth. Basically, the more wealth we find in society, the more developed we are. But the Nobel economist Amartya Sen disagrees with this. He explicitly says that wealth is not the goal in and of itself, but that freedom is the goal of development. Basically, Sen argues that freedom is the actual central motivator of human development and attempts to build up a system around that idea. First, he makes a distinction where he says there's generally been two attitudes towards development. Either the no pain, no gain attitude, which basically suggests that pain is effectively necessary for any kind of development to go ahead. Or there's the second attitude of teamwork makes the dream work, basically that if we all work together, we can see a mutually beneficial increase in all of our developments. Sen takes the second position in this. But for development to be mutually beneficial, we have to think of development as freedom in a particular way. Basically, we need to split freedom into two: the means of freedom and the ends of freedom, which will provide the space for development. We can think of the means as the process of development. Basically, how do we get to an end? And for this, development has to specifically be the process which expands the freedoms, which act like a feedback loop promoting other freedoms. And then on the other side of that, the actual ends coming out as the opportunities from development are these freedoms that enrich human life. Sen then lists this broad, non-extensive typology of these separate freedoms. And he argues the strength of this is that a lot of systems in the past, when it has come to development, have made implicit value judgments to get to their ends, basically allowing them in the process to trample over certain freedoms in the process of getting to that end. While in this system, the value judgments become explicit in the fact that the means of development has to be a process which explicitly judges what freedoms we're expanding. For example, there's a pretty common argument that we can put up with certain losses of freedom in the face of economic growth, because this wealth will eventually trickle down to developing others. Sen says this is unacceptable. Any process of development that explicitly is reducing your freedom is going against the very idea of development itself.